Hey guys, today we're going to be working on our Tron project. We're going to be doing the control panel overlay. There's a Tron movie poster. So there it is. It's not in bad shape, the original, but as you can see here, it's got some rust, you know. I don't want anybody getting cut or tetanus or anything like that. So, you know, this is going to be over at Scanlines Arcade in Kokomo, Indiana. So if you guys want to play this game when it's done, definitely go over there and give it a play. So what we're going to do is replace this joystick. Look how bad that is. The original joystick from '83. This thing's beat up. So I got a replacement trigger, replacement shell, then this here got a control panel overlay replacement, and then the spinner sticker. So what we're going to do today is tear this down. It's going to be maybe a 2-3 part series on doing this control panel. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it all in one video. And then if you're wondering what this is an MCR switching power supply adapter. This basically just allows you to put a switching power supply in your MCR games, which the MCR games are pretty much all the same, like for instance Kickman or Tapper or something like that. So what it does is replaces that old linear power supply. There's nothing wrong with the old linear power supplies, but I like those. They work pretty good. So here's the state of the game room. It's a mess down here. Got Space Ace down here, waiting on parts for that. I got a guy making me some ribbon cables. There's a ribbon cable that goes from the Laserdisc player to the CPU, and I don't have that. So he's making those for me, and he's having some issues with the products he bought. So it may be a while before we get those. Sometimes that's just how it goes on these games. Hell, pole position cockpit, when I did that, I waited 2 years for a power supply. Or not a power supply, a board repair. So sometimes you just gotta wait, nothing you can do about it. We got a couple holes in the game room here. This is where Taxi used to be. Taxi is over at Scanlines Arcade in Kokomo. So if you wanna go play my Taxi, go over there and give it a play. There's the back of the Star Wars cockpit, the glass. I brought it down here so it didn't get busted. Mr. and Miss Pac-Man. Console game stuff back here. My console game collecting is kind of on hold at the moment. The arcade and pinball kind of took over here. This is where Punch Out was. It's over at Scanlines. Go give it a play. There's a wall of Nintendo and box stuff. All the way down this wall behind these arcades is games and box consoles. Here's the Mario Bros. What we just redid. Brought it back. It was converted to Street Smart, some kind of fighting game or something. And we brought it back to a Mario Bros. Wide body. Same thing, Donkey Kong Jr. Redid that one. There's our 4-player Simpsons. It's going to Scanline soon, so that'll be out of here. Have another hole in the game room. And here's the console stuff. I like to watch movies when I'm working on stuff. Give me a little background noise. Donkey Kong 3, that was a restoration we did. Well, refurb. Fix It Felix, that was a fun one. Kickman's down. It actually works and plays, but there's no sound, so I'm going to have to send that board off, get that repaired. I tried fixing it myself, and I only can do so much with that stuff. So, go send it off, see if I can get it repaired. Well, let's get going on this Tron control panel. Alright, so I got the camera set up. When we start one of these, we always take pictures like really good pictures of where all this stuff goes. And then also when I take these things apart, I try to lay them out how they go together. That way I can remember how they go back. And also you can mark things too. Like here you have your player 2 button, start, and then your player 1. So I like to mark them on the sides. That way when I'm putting these back together, I know where they go. And I'm not trying to start the game and, you know what I mean, play the game and figure out I got them in backwards. So I'll go ahead and mark those with a Sharpie. So this is my player 2 right here. So I'll put a P2 and then P1. There we go. Now also, when I'm putting this back together, I want to make sure that I'm putting it, you know, top up and not upside down. Same here. So what I'll do is I'll put like an up arrow here, and I know that's the top. Same here. All right, start tearing this thing down. Go ahead and start with these player 1 and 2 buttons here. We'll unhook this joystick. This is the switch for the fire button. Right here on the joystick, we'll unhook that connector. And all these tools you see me using, these are not expensive tools. These are all tools that I picked up at Harbor Freight or yard sailing. Like, I like to pick up tools at yard sales because I don't really have a whole lot of money to be spending on tools. So, you know, finding cheap tools is, you know, kind of almost like a hunting hobby of mine too. So always on the hunt in this hobby. Okay, so we're undoing these little metal nuts here. We're going to pull these buttons out. So there's the player 1. Okay, and then I'll just set this back in here. Actually, you know what? I'm not, because I'm going to pull these apart and clean them. So I'll just sit this nut on here like so. Ooh, dropping stiff. Player 2 buttons out. Set these over here, and I'm going to go ahead and move this stuff because we're not going to need this overlay for a while. So we go to put it back together. We'll do this trigger or this for now. Okay, so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, good deal. All right, so the player 1 and 2. See how brittle that holder was? Just fell right apart. These things are old. Sometimes they fall apart when you're taking them apart. So when we take these things out, what will happen is we'll keep all these connected through the wiring and just kind of set it aside and leave all the wires hooked up. Now you can take all these switches off if you want, and the connectors, but why do that? It's not necessary. So we'll just pull off this base and this base, remove them, and then we'll just make it easy as possible. So this is the third one we've done, Trons anyway. So got a little experience here. So I'm going to start off with the joystick. On the joystick you have these security screws, which they are Allen with a hole in. I don't know if you can see that. And these are like special little bits you can buy at Harbor Freight. They're like security bits. I think they're like $10. They're not that expensive. Maybe not even that much. So we're going to remove these screws. We're going to take this joystick apart. Now we got to save these screws because I don't think the new joystick came with them. Oh, yeah, it did. It did. So we'll save them anyway. We'll also save this joystick too, just in case. You never know, you might find somebody that doesn't have a joystick or it's broke, and they just, you know, they'd be happy to get an old one, you know. So I ordered the new joystick casing It came from Arcade Shop for 25 bucks. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. And it really cleaned the game up. And when the black light hits that new blue, I got a feeling it's going to look really good. So. Okay, this last one out. It's really stubborn. There we go. Here's the side. See if we can't get this to separate. It's one side. And there's two more on this side. Well, this one's packed with something. So I'm gonna grab my pick here. Screw's packed with, I don't know what it is, gum or something. Hopefully we can get this out, because if not, I'm gonna have to drill it. I don't want to have to do that. So hopefully we can get whatever this is out of here. Oh my gosh. Oh, it might be rust. You see that falling out of there. Alright, let's see if I can get my security bit in there. I hope this comes out. No, it doesn't look like it's gonna. A little blow there. Maybe I can get the star bit in there. I'll see it. This one's coming out easy. This one is not. Let me try to get some more of that dirt out of there. You can see this. It's got like a little center bar in there to keep just a normal Allen key from going in there. You have to have those special keys. Well, on that other screw, there's rust and dirt in there, so see if I can get some more out. Somebody might have tried and then stripped it, so I'm hoping that's not the case, because that'll be fun trying to get that out. Always something with these games. Always something holding you up, or making you want to pull your freaking hair out. But that's the way arcades go. Away she goes. Try this style bit. Maybe that'll grip it better. Bigger. There, come on. There we go. Alright, the star bit was the way to go. So that one's a star, not an Allen. Yeah, good thing it came with new ones, because I would not have wanted to put this back in there, to be honest with you. Okay, so now your trigger case. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to get this switch off here. And we need to undo this mount and then pull this out. So I need a small screwdriver. Move this switch because it will not fit through that hole unless the switch is unhooked. Now I'm going to save these screws because I don't know if it came with these. So, another thing too is it's good to take pictures of these things as you're going, so you remember how these go back in here. Otherwise you're trying to put it back together and you're like, oh, how'd this go? So there you go. Save these little screws. Sure I'm still recording. Okay, good. Alright, so we'll move this old stuff out of the way. Okay, so come around to the back, and 4 bolts. Hold this joystick on. Let's find the right bit. It's too small. There we go. You need sockets. But I find these little drive kits, you can get these at Harbor Freight. It's like a 3/8 little driver. These make it so much quicker. You can just real quick zip these off. And I want to make sure I don't lose any of this stuff. So I set it aside and put it in a safe spot. That way when I go to put it back together, I'm not, missing nuts and bolts, whatever. Okay, so 4 hold this on. These on. Okay, this should come right out. Let's see what happens. Yep. See how it just fell right out there? And then the wiring here, there's a little clip that holds the wiring. Just let that fall. Be careful here, you don't want to rip this out. You just want to feed this through real easy, like that. So what you want to do is tear these wires. I mean, you could replace them, but it's just more work you have to do if you force things. Better not to force it. Okay. This is the fun. We got to take that spinner out. And that spinner consists of an Allen key holder here. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's 2 Allen keys on this spinner plate. So you have this spinner, and then over here you have this spinner switchboard. And that spinner circle there, there's a little sensor on that board, and it spins around there, and it kind of registers that. So we want to remove these things. Allen key. So we got to get this base off. But in order to do that, we got to get the spinner itself off the plate or off the control plate. Because see, we need this off so we can pull this out. All right, so now that that's out, it's just 2 Allen keys. I want to make sure these Allen keys go back in a little, because I don't want them. If I lose these little Allen keys, it'd be hell trying to source them. So, all right. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts holding this assembly. It should be the same size. Let's find out. Yep. There we go. That's over here. So a little bit about myself, how I got into this whole arcade and pinball business. It's not really a business, but how I got into it was when I was younger. I was about 11 or 12. I kind of grew up in an arcade in a sense, because the local cop in our small town, he started a teen center. And basically what it was to keep us young teenagers out of trouble and off drugs, because DARE was a big thing back then. A lot of kids were getting in trouble and gangs and stuff. So he opened up a little arcade. And the arcade was literally 20 feet from my back door. And me being 11 or 12, I wasn't a teen yet. You had to be 13 to go in. Well, I wasn't allowed. So my older sister, my older cousins, friends that were older, they would come to the back door, open it, and let me in. And I would sneak in and play for a little bit until the cop caught me. And then he'd kick me out. So that's kind of how it all started for me, was just growing up in that arcade and, being around the scene. It definitely sparked my interest at a young age. And now it's kind of, I've carried that over now. And I love playing them. I love working on them. It's just something I love to do. So anyway, so here we have all this apart now. And what we'll do later is see how it's got some rust here. We'll clean this up. And then maybe hit a little bit of silver paint on there. I don't know yet. We'll see how bad it is. And so that's apart. So now we can start working on our control panel overlay. And we'll set this aside over here. Now, as you can see, just a bare control panel. So now we want to remove this old overlay so we can put the new fresh art overlay on. So what we're going to do is go upstairs in the garage. Man, that's coming off pretty easy. And we're going to set up the tripod in the garage. We're going to get a heat gun and a scraper. And we're just going to pull this. Actually, this is coming off. I can't believe how easy this is coming off. Anyway, we'll go up and we'll get a heat gun and a scraper. And we'll use the heat gun to kind of pull this artwork off. It'll heat the glue up and allow us to pull it off a little easier. So, all right, let's go upstairs. All right, guys, we're back. So we're in the garage. We got the heat gun hooked up here. The scraper. What we're going to do is heat this up, and we're going to heat this glue up under here, and it's just going to make it easy to pull this old overlay off. Now, this heat gun was bought at Harbor Freight. I think it was like 15 or 16 bucks. So, like I said, nothing special or expensive here. So let's get this control panel overlay off. Heat this up. You don't have to hold it like right on it. You can just do that. You want to take your scraper and just kind of one hand hold the dryer and the other scrape it. See how it's just kind of peeling that off. Sometimes these can fight you. This one ain't too bad. I've coming off pretty good so far. I've had some that spent hours on. So this puts off a pretty good smell when you're heating up this glue. That's why I don't like to do it inside. That's why we came out here for this. So see, it's just kind of heating that up, and I'm able to get underneath it with the scraper. Scrape this off. Really fun. So, I'm going to pause the video here because I know you guys don't want to sit here and watch me scrape this off for 45 minutes. So, I'll be back. We'll get all this scraped off of here, and I'll come back and go to the next step, okay? Alright, so now we got our overlay off. We've used the heat gun, we've scraped it off. Now we got a big pile of old overlay. So what's left is the glue. I don't know if you can see that or not, but my thumb's sticking to it. There's glue all over this thing. So what we're gonna do is get all this glue off here, because what I like to do is sand these down because of the rust, try to get the rust off. And if you go sanding over this glue, it'll bunch up on you. It'll clog up your sandpaper, and then when you go to put this overlay down, you'll have all these clumps, and you'll have like bumps in your overlay. So what you want to do, or what I do, is spray on a Goo Gone and get this glue off of here. And it's pretty messy stuff, so I like to put cardboard down or something, or a towel, something I don't care about. Get that on there real good. Even a little bit on this little inside edge here where the overlay overlapped. So, and we'll let this stuff set for a second here. As you can see, glue's already starting. Look at that. It's already starting to come off there. So let that set for just a minute. Now when you go to take this glue off, after you've sprayed your Goo Gone on, of course, you can use your old scraper again, or you can just use a towel, whatever you prefer. Towel maybe take a little longer. What I do is I'll kind of scrape the bulk of it off with this, and then go back with the towel and clean it up. Now you see, I don't know if you can see that, there's a big hunk of glue there. And that Goo Gone just takes that right off. Now you might want to wear gloves with Goo Gone. I honestly don't care, but you might. So there you go. Look at that, it's just big hunks of glue. So now when we go to sand this, our sandpaper is not going to get clogged up, hold on. And we're not going to have all these big hunks of glue all over this thing. We want this to be as smooth as possible and put our overlay on. Last thing you want is like little bumps all over your overlay. Be smooth. Okay. Just go around these edges. Here. So I got my first arcade game, oh gosh, been over 10 years, 2015. I seen a guy on Marketplace. He was a operator going out of business. 40 years he was in business, maybe almost 40 years. And he was just an hour down the road in Anderson. And I went and got 6 games in one haul. And I ended up going back and getting some more. I think I paid $1,500 for 6 games. It was like San Francisco Rush was one of them. Had a Buck Hunter, Dance Dance Revolution. So anyway, that's kind of what really sparked me into getting into this 10 years ago. And of course, when you're in this hobby, you really have to learn how to work on this stuff. I mean, you can pay other people to do it, but it's going to cost you a fortune. So I just kind of watched YouTube and learned how to fix a few things here and there and work on them. And for me, that's half the fun, working on the games. And I've watched guys like John's Arcade, Joe's Classic Arcade Repair on YouTube. He's good. There's tons of repair videos out there. Mark's Basement, The Goat Shed, just tons of them. A lot of information out there on these if you want to learn how to fix them and repair them. And then if you can't fix them, which sometimes I can't get them going, like the boards and stuff, that's kind of where I haven't really dabbled too much into board repair. I can do a little, but you know, there's so many resources out there where you can send your boards to. You know, there's a guy called Eugene Mosh. He repairs a lot of boards. Paul Duray does monitor repair. You can send him your chassis and he'll fix your monitors for a good price, and he does a really good job. You got Eldorado Games. You know, you can send your boards to them. They'll fix them for you. And a lot of it too is knowing like which games are going to give you trouble. There's some games that I've stayed away from because they're harder to repair, they're harder to work on, it's harder to find people to fix them. Like some of these Sega games, and even like pole position boards are really hard to get them fixed. I waited almost 2 years to get my pole position board back and fixed, and then I don't have pole position anymore, but so yeah, you kind of learn which games to stay away from, or you know, if you do end up getting one, like you really love it and you want it and you don't care, you know, you just kind of go into it knowing, hey, you know, this could be a pain in the butt to fix. So, all right, so we got all the glue off. Now I want to clean this surface. I'm going to use some brake parts cleaner to get all that greasy goo gone off there, because it's greasy, of course. So let's go ahead and spray this down. Cleaned off. You want this to be very clean when you put this overlay back on. So with this one, we've got rust here on the edges. So I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper and I'm just going to go over that, because it's rust. You don't want that coming back through. You don't want rust on your stuff, I'm telling you right now, because it's just going to give you problems later on. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Get the bottom side good. Now some guys paint them. I used to paint these, and sometimes like if they're really bad, I will paint them. That way the overlay sticks better. I don't think this one's that bad, so I'm not gonna paint it, I think. I think it's good enough to just run it. That, and I'd have to wait a day for it to dry. I want to show you guys how to put this overlay back on today. So I'm going to run some sandpaper over this real quick. Just going to use a nice light grit, nothing heavy, maybe like a 220 or you know, something above that. We are not really digging into it. It's nice and clean now. So what I'll do is wipe this down real good, maybe with some isopropylene alcohol, maybe some more brake cleaner. That way when we put our overlay down, we know it's going to stick and there's not going to be any oils or anything on here. That way it adheres good and you don't get any bubbles or anything like that. So I'm going to pause this. We're going to go in and we're going to put the overlay on. So stay tuned.